and we are right on time. I think we're about 4 minutes early, actually.
Right, it's 3:30, right? It's 3:30.
It's 3:26.
Man, this cheesecake is delicious. I got to tell you guys. Woo!
Unbelievable.
I'm not even gonna say sorry. We're very late. No, I am sorry. It's all my fault. I was supposed to be the cop on this one, and I screwed it up. But we're moving right into it. Who cares? Going right into it. Where did we leave off last?
I think the chat really likes your hair. F in the chat,
Yeah.
we like Tyler's
What do you guys
finely
think?
combed hair.
I combed it for a bit. I don't know if it's there yet. Maybe we postpone for another half an hour and I can get this just right.
I think that's a good idea. Just for the sake of the this is a video show, you know. All right,
so we are. We're professional. What else are we?
Professional. Well, we're finishing. We're hopefully going to try and finish these Predator pit paintings, which I am super excited.
We still got. Dynamite, dude. I just oiled out, everybody. Just oiled out, so we're doing pretty good. You going into oils? You digging into the oils?
Oh yeah, I oiled out a couple of minutes ago, so we're good.
Like
I had oil out before
like
I had
an hour ago. You mean like an hour ago, right?
Well, I gotta do something while you're combing your hair. You know?
I just couldn't get it lined up right, you know.
I know, man.
Sometimes it happens.
I know the feeling.
Sometimes it's really hard to deal with.
So yeah, I'm going back over with oils. I think. Well, I finished off off camera. I finished up my acrylic underpainting, and you could see it right in here. So this is all acrylic, and now I'm just applying some medium over it. I applied a medium over it, and now I'm going back in with oil paints to try and hopefully get this to a finish, if not close to a finish.
Well, I gotta say,
it should
Ray,
be a lot of fun.
All that aside, you're looking good, man. I mean, that hat is nice. Like, it's all good.
Well, I thought, I was like, do I have time to comb my hair? No. I care about the show. What would Kate say?
I know.
It turned out it did.
I mean, like last episode, we were talking about how I was never going to live down Flyboys. And I think this episode, I'm never going to live down being an hour late. An hour. You'd be fired. Oh, I can hear you. Well, I don't know about that.
You guys can hear me. Hold on. You guys just
I can hear you, Kate
vamp
Welch.
for a second. Okay, now they can hear me. Hey, Ray from Jacob A. Sweet in the chat.
Oh, Kate, hi.
Hey,
Jacob.
Hey, what's up, Ray?
Hey, Jacob, what's up, man?
Ray, what?
Yeah.
Ray, what oil medium are you using over the acrylic?
Oh, I have it actually right here.
Made by Winston and Newton.
I actually brought it down. I brought the bottle down. Let's see if we can.
Please tell me it's Winston Newton. Please tell me.
It is Winston Newton.
Holy shit.
One day, hopefully, we've been shilling for them for a while.
If they're not going to be our sponsor, then what's the point?
They're going to sponsor us for sure. I'm confident.
This artist painting medium, you could basically get the same thing with like a mixture of mineral spirits and like stand oil. It's something super simple so that I can get the oil out on my piece. That's it.
It's got a solvent in it though,
huh? Yeah, a slight one. A little bit of mineral spirits to thicken the oil so that it doesn't get goopy on you.
Nice.
If I wanted to go like if I wanted to go it to go faster, because this will also keep my paint a little bit more wet, a slight bit longer. If I wanted to go faster, I usually use. Oh, did I bring it down? Yes, I did. See, I was prepared for the show today, unlike somebody.
What's that like?
Somebody on the other side.
Oh, Jesus.
So I'll usually use this stuff right here, which is Liquin Fine Detail,
Oh, I'm a big fan.
which is a lot of
Big
fun.
fan of that.
Yeah.
The reason why I like it is it has this, I don't know, I can't like physically feel the difference between it and linseed oil. It goes down real smooth.
Totally.
And unlike the regular Liquid original, I feel like it starts getting tacky on the palate a lot later than Liquid
Yeah.
original would.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's
great.
it keeps it's like it stays open for a little bit longer. I would say actually more than a little bit, probably a lot longer.
I think hours longer.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like anyways.
Yeah, but yet it dries things a little bit, quicker, obviously, which is cool. So that's good stuff. I like that stuff. I've tried, like, people have asked me, like, I know Greg Manchus uses Galkid. I mean, I can't use that stuff. It's like too syrupy, but Galkid Light, it's not bad. But the regular
I've used
Galkid,
that
man,
too.
it's I think it's just because I also have like pretty soft, like, synthetic brushes, and the Galkid is really, really kind of jelly like. It's just like Liquin, more so than Liquin original. So it's just harder to work with. I think if I used really stiff bristle brushes, predominantly like Greg Manchus does, which he uses predominantly flats and brights, I think. But stiffer brushes, then I think I might like it a little bit more, but I don't know.
Well, I think there's a certain, like, at least the way when Greg paints, he's not moving the paint around very much. And maybe that's
True.
why it works for him. I mean,
And what
I've
is
used
it?
Galkid before, and it's very gummy to me. Like it, and any
Yeah.
container that I put it in, like, goodbye. That container is never opening again. It's
Right.
now
Oh,
like
yeah,
super glued
yeah.
closed.
It seals shut. I think that's what they sealed the Witch King of Angmar in when they first came.
I'm pretty sure, in order to just keep them in place.
Just to keep it, yeah.
From Chappie McChapman, have you ever envisioned what the Predator's trophy room might look like? Would it just be a pile of skulls, or tastefully decorated?
Well, I mean, I don't know if Chappie McChapman's ever seen a little film starring Danny Glover, but it's called Predator 2, and in Predator 2 we get a glimpse of the trophy room, and turns out apparently alien skulls from the movie Alien and Aliens are just hanging out in there. So we're mixing franchises.
Is that where they mix the franchises?
Yeah, the Alien verse, bro.
Yeah, all of a sudden, it was fine, and then, to be honest, this is my theory, is that they got Stan Winston's studio to do the effects again, and they were like, well, we got some stuff lying around, and one of them's an alien skull. We're dropping it in here. And then Fox was like, oh shit, I guess we got to go with this now.
This is a one-off movie, so you could just use this. We're not going to use this ever again. God, the 80s.
Then they were committed. And all the fans were really happy.
Okay.
It's like, apparently. Oh, go ahead, Kate.
No, go ahead and hit us with your joke, Ray.
So.
Uh-oh.
Now I'm pre-laughing on the joke because it's not even a joke. But apparently, in Star Trek, I think it was Star Trek 5, they were using the same costumes from the second one, and they were so beaten up by that point that they could only shoot the costumes from certain angles because no amount of patchwork could fix it. Which I think is hilarious, That's what I imagine, like Stan Winston, like that's why I mentioned like the heads showing up in Predator, because it's just like, well, Stan, we want you to design other aliens, but we kind of don't have money. So can we just use stuff that you've already done or stuff and put in the background,
I mean, that story for Star Trek 5 is in itself a metaphor for Star Trek 5.
No,
like, how do we hide this? How do we hide this move?
It's called. Listen, they had a vision, and it was bigger than what technology could
was
accomplish at the
bigger
time.
than what Shatner
Kate, you had another question. We're moving on.
Yeah, I did.
Oh man.
From Evacuate. This is a
This would have
great
been
question.
good, though.
Listen, we got a better one. Do you find you stick with a lot of the materials you were introduced to in school, or have you picked your favorites through experimentation?
It's a great question. Tyler, what is your answer to that one?
It's pretty good. It's going to be good. So I
didn't ask you to grade. I didn't ask you to pre-grade your answer.
B plus.
Look, guys, everyone, this is going to be real good. This answer is going to be so good. So Jesus Christ. So there's so I think Ray remembers this. We had a palette that we were received in school from a teacher that will remain unnamed.
Unnamed.
Was it Bill Mond?
Unnamed. It was Bill Mond.
It might have been Bill Mond. Okay, we got to get a
Bill so many times in here. We needed a mode. Yeah, we need a mode.
Yeah.
But so that particular palette was, and I still use like little aspects of it, but it was like you want a cool and warm version of everything. So I mean, like your blues.
It's an impressionist palette, basically.
Yeah, it's an impressionist palette, and so like whatever color you can, like whatever primary you can think of, you have a cool and warm version of it. Even the blues, you have a cool and warm version of the blues. And I've kind of moved away from that. I'm more into like a more limited one. Specifically in this one, I'm like super limited. But so I would say that's the tool I got in art school that I've kind of ventured away from for something that I feel more comfortable with, or I like a little more than Bill's palette. I'm sorry, Bill, if you're watching. I love your palette. I'm so sorry.
I just convinced him to come watch the show and
great. Today's the one.
Yeah,
today's
the one. Yeah. And we figured out how to get him open up a Twitch account for him and get him to log on without any issue.
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to see these guys." And then I'm like, "Hey, remember what you told me about palettes? It's garbage. I hate it." No.
You wanted back. Yeah. You wanted bad cop Tyler. Well, you got him.
Oh Jesus. Anyways, I've moved slightly away from that palette. I still think it's got a lot of value, but I like more limited palette than that.
Yeah. So I think in terms of like materials, the palette I still have. I actually expanded some of the colors in certain directions and limited ones in other directions. And I can actually, let's see if I can pick this up here. I don't know if this will show up here. Probably, there's my color palette right there. A little hard to see.
Oh, there you go.
And there's a bunch of blues off to the side too. I mean, I change it up every so often. It's to suit my liking. I think I don't use, Bill would use 2 yellows. I don't use 2 yellows usually. And
right, he was using cad and lemon or something
like a lemon yellow, and a cad yellow light, or cad yellow medium, I think, and maybe a cad lemon yellow and a cad yellow light. I don't know. They're kind of almost the same color in many cases. So I think maybe a cad yellow medium might be a little bit better to use. But maybe that's what he used. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I think that's what it was.
I guess his philosophy was one yellow on the side of orange and 1 yellow on the side of green. Right.
Because the idea is it's a full tertiary palette, which allows for a very large range of color options. And so like you could mix beautiful from tertiaries, you can mix beautiful primaries and secondaries from those tertiaries. So that's why you would do it. And every time you intermix a color, it tends to kill the intensity of the color. So by the time you get to, if you go from we have a primary yellow, primary red, primary blue. If you mix out to those tertiaries, sometimes you have a higher risk of the tertiaries being sort of dead in color or not as vibrant. And when you're working the tertiaries inwards, you have a better chance of getting vibrant color, vibrant secondaries and primaries. If you'd like to learn more about color, you can take my color course.
Would you like to know more?
This isn't a commercial for you, Raymond.
I know.
So I guess I wouldn't even call it, I'd say my workaround, or I don't know, my adjustment to that is, so I have a pretty limited main palette, which is like, French ultramarine. I wonder if I can, let me see if I can show you guys. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Can you see the palette there? I can't see.
Oh yeah.
So I have French ultramarine, burnt umber, alizarin crimson, and then I use this cad yellow light, or cad yellow. I think it's cad yellow light. That's kind of what I use primary, and then going down the palette, I for like really intense hyper chromatic colors, I use cobalt teal, quinacridone magenta, and lemon yellow.
I love those colors.
Yeah, it's like CMYK essentially, which works super good for making, magical effects for magic cards and stuff like that.
So,
Hey,
are you guys gonna keep talking, or do you want another question?
No, we could take another question.
Okay.
I mean, Tyler just dropped that bombshell of answer that he was teasing for half an hour. So
yeah. You guys weren't ready. You weren't ready to receive quinacridone magenta.
I'm having issues recovering from it, but we can move on.
From Nick to Liquin 96, what are your
What up, Nick?
goals? What are your goals when making thumbnails?
My goals when making thumbnails is to get the main design elements of major design elements of my piece. So usually it's value and shape design. And I might throw a little bit of color design in there too, but usually value and shape. So it's sort of the main, whatever the main gesture is going through my piece. That's what I want to figure out in the thumbnail.
Yeah, I'd say I'm after the same thing. It's the thumbnails that is for me the initial establishment of the composition. And usually I challenge myself to kind of do it in two or three values, mostly three values. So like a dark, a medium, and a light. And I try to establish the composition that way. And if anyone out there is trying to get their thumbnail game up, try to do that. Try and do all your thumbnails with just three values. It ends up being a nice little exercise, but that's what I try to do to establish my overall composition.
Yeah, and you just don't, if you end up using a lot more than that, what happens is you muddy the waters and you could run into issues and in terms of readability. And so if you can't, in a thumbnail, it's so small, if you have issues with readability with those three values, chances are the value idea that you had is just not going to necessarily work. And so it's just best to keep experimenting with that. And it forces you to also work quickly too. So you can really iterate like crazy on it, which is nice.
Yeah, there's like an aspect to working in that limited value range that you're kind of showing yourself that it's going to be. Oh, thanks. You're showing I need some more coffee here, you guys. Oh, coffee break. You're showing yourself that, oh, this is actually going to hold up because I already have three strong values to work from. Right. So there's a little bit of you're giving yourself at least some confidence. It's like working in a limited palette. Like, these colors are going to work because these are all I can mix from.
Right.
But enough about art. Have you guys heard of the movie Predator? And how good it is?
So Tyler, you said that between 33 and 95% of what you had said before about the movie was completely inaccurate.
I think it was mostly wrong. It's mostly wrong. No, oh man, there were a bunch of things I wanted to correct, and I cannot remember them right now.
I mean, I get Predator and Star Trek 5 confused all the time.
I know, and I was saying, wait, what? Oh yeah. So Shane Black did not write Predator. And I'm sorry that I said that. He wrote Lethal Weapon. He was in Predator. Oh, Ray told me. Ray knew. He was like,
I was like, I don't think so.
You know what? We can go back, Ray. We can look at the footage and you can be like, oh, interesting. Yeah. So anyways, I was super wrong there. There was something else I was really wrong about. I'm often wrong.
In the chat, if you were a suspect of Tyler's movie facts from the last stream.
I was very wrong, and I'm sorry that I didn't fact check myself. Jean-Claude Van Damme was a stunt double in it, and he was the creature originally. So I am right there. I'm right there.
Okay, so but he wasn't the original. He was the originally designed Predator, but not the actual Predator.
No. Kevin Peter Hall is the actual Predator.
Right.
Apology not accepted. Hey,
I know.
Question from Aaron Ruffino.
Aaron!
How does your limited palette help with overall color harmony?
I mean, like by design, it is color harmony, right? Because this is, I guess, a hard one to put into words, but it's using only, especially if you're using something that's like split complementary or based on a triangle, you're only mixing from 3 particular colors. So nothing can sit outside of those spaces because they just can't physically reach them. But I don't know. That's probably not the best way to describe it. Maybe Ray, maybe you've got a better.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, so basically what Tyler is saying is that like color harmony means that all the colors feel like they belong together, right? And so when you have a limited palette, it heightens the chances that you have to intermix all of the colors in order to get the color that you actually want. When you have 1 billion colors on your palette, that chance is actually minimized quite a bit because you're more inclined to reach across the and almost sort of segregate your palette if you have too many colors. But when you have a limited palette, you have to intermix. And because every color you put down has a little bit of the other colors in there, and let's just say you only have 3 colors, then you're going to have you have a higher chance of having a harmonious painting. That makes sense?
That makes total sense. Like that's a way better way of putting it into words. And I guess an example of what I'm doing over here is
no doy.
Yeah, Ray's got this down. He knows how to talk. And
Aaron, you should have just asked me. Just direct your questions to me.
If you can direct a lot of these just to Ray, he's gonna be able to. But I, as like a real world example, I'm using on this particular one. I'm using alizarin crimson, viridian, yellow, and then like black and white essentially. Yeah. So all I have is that triangle of color, which is alizarin crimson and viridian, which is they're both a red and a green that are towards blue, and then lemon yellow, which is a yellow that's towards blue. So everything's kind of sitting on that side of the color wheel.
Yeah, and what's nice is you could totally see it in Tyler's piece. I mean, it looks harmonious. It looks like there's a color direction to it, and
whereas Ray's is all over the fucking place.
All over
the
can.
Oh, no, Ray's got crazy color harmony too. Like we're both working on different, like we both have different triangles on the color wheel, but we're keeping them harmonious.
Right.
I don't think there's a lot of greens that he has going that I just physically can't reach with what I have. Probably not.
You shoot. Hey, listen, you shoot for the stars.
Don't make me try it. Don't make me try it because I'll do it.
Or wait, did I get that backwards? You shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you land on the stars.
You land among the moons. Hey, here's another color-related question from.
Maybe it's from Jupiter. I don't know.
The Fat Baron.
It's a lot of moons.
Hey,
Fat Baron.
Okay.
Speaking of color, There's a lot of subtle color variation, even in solid areas. Do you have a particular / conscious approach to creating that variety?
Actually, Tyler, you are actually doing that right now.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I think I'm misunderstanding the question, I guess, when it comes to like the term solid areas, but
like Aaron's talking about, you see like the shadow side underneath the silhouette of like the predator's hair, or like,
oh sure,
or like a base color that you put down for the light side, like of the chest,
right.
or even like a background that might be green, and you're like modulating it ever so slightly. So
Yeah, so I'm leaning on the understanding that warm colors come forward and cool colors go back. So on those areas that may or may not be flat, like on this face, like if this is one form, I'm turning the forms, like I'll put my hand up here a little bit, just kind of pantomime that, but like right around his brow, like it's just because this is one giant form, it's kind of a flat shape, but if I want to turn the brow just a little bit, I'm going to make those colors right on the edge of his brow cooler. And they may not shift in value very much, just slightly shift in value, but because it's shifting in temperature, it's going to go back just a little bit. And I've noticed, if you look at some of Ray's paintings really closely, Ray does that a lot, where it's almost the same value, but he's mixed up a color that's just slightly cooler than the one next to it. And you can see that vibration, the ups and downs that it creates, to give you like a variety of color in that area.
Yeah, so once you have like your color temperature down, then you literally can do whatever you want. So like, I know that this is a cooler background right here, so it's cool temperature. So it could be a flat area. Let's just say this is like, I have a shadow that's, I don't know, dark blue. I could always,
any of that, dude.
I could say like, as long as I have the value right, I can go blue, I can go blue green, I can do blue violet, I could do red violet. It's all, as long as they're cooler colors and it's the correct temperature and correct value, you can modulate in between that point. You see that all the time in a lot of impressionist artwork. Like you'll see a warm sunset or something, and you see a lot of yellows, oranges, red oranges, yellow oranges, and different modulations of that, like warm greens, and all of those little facets. The way, and you can see Tyler's approaching it the way, one way of doing it, and it's the way I approach it is the same way Tyler approaches it pretty much, is just put your one base value down, get the range correct in your blocking. And then once you have that, you should have the, try and aim for the value and the correct temperature when you're doing that color. And once you have it, then all you have to do is just play around in that one little area. But it's really hard to do it if you don't know what range you can actually operate in. That's why, again, like working in a limited palette allows you to get to that spot a little bit quicker, because your options are limited. And so you could focus on only a few colors rather than, a few hundred.
Yeah, and I think like Ray was saying, like when you're working with a limited palette, it's limiting what you can mix, but you have to also be aware of where your colors sit on the color wheel. So like the way I'm working with these colors, like I can't really make a blue, but I can get really close to it. It's just going to be, I have to be aware that blue is going to be pretty gray. And so I have to be aware of it's the contextual nature of the color. So if I really want it to look blue, I've got to put it next to stuff that's going to be closer to orange, and that'll make it look even bluer. But the only thing I'm ever going to be able to mix up with these colors is a gray, essentially.
Right. No, that's a good point. And like you can, and it's also showing you don't really need a ton of color to make something feel colorful either.
Right.
Right. I mean,
It's all about where you put them, right? Like it's if you
Right.
want to make something look bluer, you put it next to things that are more orange. Like you can put gray next to orange and it looks blue.
Yeah, totally. And what Tyler's explaining is like describing is how complementaries or colors that are on the opposite side of the color wheel work. So let's just say like yellow, violet, or red and green, or blue and orange. In this case, when it comes to warm and cool. So if you put a complementary color next to each other, just sitting next to each other, they're going to make each other look much more vibrant. And if you intermix them, they actually neutralize each other. So it basically kills the chroma or the saturation of the color. And so what a lot of artists do to get that color sort of jump that Tyler's talking about is they'll do this thing where they'll put complementaries next to each other to make it feel jewel-like. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually going to end up doing that right here. Like you see, like there's actually and I've done it before with especially with the tombstone painting. I put in a warm wash, and so it's like a dark orange that I put. I think it was like burnt sienna or something like that, burnt umber. And you'll notice if you look at that painting, all of the blues is like really rich, and it's because I'm putting in blues next to that, but not covering up the orange all the way, and I'm letting some of that orange come through. And the little spots that it does come through, it vibrates with the complements that are there, and that's a trick that you'll see used all the time. In painting, it's just because it's so easy to use. Like start off with you could experiment with it by doing a painting. Let's just say you have like a warm painting that's a really warm color, right? All of those are really warm, like a warm sunset or warm fire. You could actually stain your panel, your painting surface blue, and then paint those warms right on top of it. If you do that, the warms will jump out. Try it out. You'd be really, really surprised how much color you're getting just from touching those, having those complements sit next to each other.
Yeah, that's something I've messed with before quite a lot, where I know that the overall image is going to be very warm or something, or the opposite. Maybe the overall image is going to be really cold. So my ground is like orange. I go as orange as possible so that I can let that show through, and the vibration's really, really nice.
So the ground is what Tyler's calling the ground is the color that you're starting off with, that you would put your drawing on or whatever. It's the base color of just the surface itself.
Right. So I think I recently posted a like sea monster piece for Magic, and I had white gesso and I put my drawing down, and then I thinned out some orange acrylic and stained the gesso that way, and I used that as my base, and that showed through here and there, and it was very helpful for harmony.
Yeah, that's actually how I did that. So I just finished a painting that that Tyler's seen. I have to let it dry before I photograph it and ship it and stuff like that. So I'll be posting it relatively soon. But that's how I did that new painting that I showed you, Tyler, that I finished up last night, which was
really? Okay.
I started off with an initial, I did a gouache lift out, but it was in the areas that were supposed to be orangey warm, like that house, the focal point. I covered it in a ultramarine blue stain that I lifted out. And then all the cooler areas of the sky, all the blues and everything like that, I covered it in a stain of burnt sienna.
Oh man, yeah, it turned out really great. The piece looks awesome, and the blues are just super intense.
Right, yeah, and it's crazy because it's really not that. I'm using some of the same blues here, and they don't look nearly as intense, but it just has to do with the color that's sitting next to it. So what Tyler and I are basically saying is color is relative.
Yeah. And you'll notice it, anyone out there working, like if you work from a completely gray, black and white image, anywhere where you start pushing in just a little bit of color starts to become a focal point because it's relative to everything around it. So it becomes a contrast.
Right.
No.
Absolutely.
No.
From Aaron Rufino, how do you approach creating your dark values? I've heard that really heavy blacks in paintings can look like holes. Are you creating a perceived black?
I am. Yeah. Are you ready? I am. I am creating my black is either not black, it's either made from French ultramarine and burnt umber.
Yeah.
Or it's made from a version of that and Payne's gray, which is very, very black already. But yeah, I'm not using like straight ivory black or any of the black, like Mars black, or any of the blacks that are made out there. I think Ray and I are both trained that those kind of can deaden your colors. And what I like about the French ultramarine burnt umber mix is that French ultramarine is blue and burnt umber is in the orange area. So you can kind of dial that dark color into the warms or the cools, depending on how much you mix either ratio. I like that. I like that, I guess, flexibility in it. And then Payne's gray is kind of a bluish gray. So you can make like a really cool black out of it.
Yeah, and so what Tyler is describing is called a chromatic black. If you ever heard that, if you ever run across that term, that's what that means. Like you're intermixing complements that are dark to get a neutral dark color. See, the reason why we were trained, and this is something like we were told, Bill was really great about telling us like, okay, here's why you don't do it.
Who?
And oh yeah, I don't know, some guy.
I'm just fucking with you.
It's like he's just like that. No, so it's so ivory black and a lot of the blacks are tend to be, you know, a lot of people say that they tend to, when you use them just flatly, they're a little lifeless, and it really has to do, the reason why that's the case is it has to do with the fact that if you're trying to mimic real life or something that's natural, if you're trying to paint something that's in the deep shadows, regardless of the color temperature, whether it's warm or it's cool, the deep shadows will always have a warm tint to them, so they'll always be super warm. And the problem with black is if you were to analyze it as a color, it's a really neutral kind of blue-violet, like an ivory black. And so if you were putting something very cold that's dark into something that should be really warm, what happens? Well, it looks muddy. And it just goes back to what we were saying before. And it looks dead as a result. And so it completely just dies in terms of its depth. And so when Tyler's, like his chromatic black is a great mixture because you can actually dial that variance. So you can have a black that's really a little bit warmer than cooler by adding a little bit more burnt umber versus ultramarine blue. And on the flip side, you can add a dark, mix a black that's much cooler by mixing a little bit more of that ultramarine blue. I'm sorry. You could mix it a little bit warmer by mixing more of the burnt umber than the ultramarine blue, and you can get a cooler version by mixing more ultramarine blue than burnt umber. And you know, there's all variations of the chromatic black. I mean, there's one I used to use all the time, and I think I still use, is like a green and a red, like a Viridian, or I have like a Prussian green right here, and I mix that in with like I'm doing it right now with Viridian and the Prussian green and alizarin crimson, and I'm getting a black. I don't know if you could see that on my.
Yeah, I do that with Viridian and alizarin crimson. They make this really beautiful, like gray purple black, which I like.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
But like playing around with those is really fun for, you know, like Ray said, like there's no like super dark. Like the second you make all your darks like really, really cold, it gets pretty dead. So I'm pretty like impressionistic, I guess, on that, where I warm up all my darkest darks almost like to orange.
Right.
And it gives this liveliness to all the, like, if you ever seen Justin Gerard's paintings, he does that a lot.
Totally.
His
Great
deep,
example.
deep darks are beautifully warm, and it's something to play around with if you want to add some life to your illustrations.
Let's get you another question. This one comes from Evacuate. So when you're painting something to glow black, don't actually use black. Is that kind of what we're learning about?
Tyler, I'm gonna let you handle that. I think that was a question for Tyler.
It was a question for me. Yeah. When you're asked to paint things that glow black, there's a couple steps. Don't use black, and the other step is use purple. Use violet.
Oh my God. Yes.
Well played. Well played.
Greg Hildebrandt uses dioxazine purple as his black.
Right.
I think that's a great color. I messed around with it. It's pretty useful.
Yeah. And if you're like, if you folks out there are familiar with Magic the Gathering, that one of the colors in the Ruberg setup is black, but it's never depicted as black. It's always depicted as this dark purple. So that's how things can glow black.
Inside baseball, baby.
Yeah, that's what the show's all about. It's all about inside baseball.
So speaking of baseball, what's your favorite baseball themed movie?
Major League.
Man, yeah. Okay, can I ask you a question, Tyler, on this?
No, but I mean, go
ahead. So Major League is, I think, the greatest. Yeah. Okay. I think it's the greatest baseball movie possibly ever. Now, I will say it is like Godfather. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay. It's in its own genre. Is what I'm saying, right? It's not like it's not a very good, gangster drama. Major League.
No, I mean it's not. It doesn't have a lot of that in it. But I know what you're saying.
But yeah, so it's that highly regarded. But I think Major League 2 is better than Major League 1. Like some people say that Godfather 2 is better than the first Godfather.
It is.
So
you know what? It's sometimes people are like dead wrong about things. And that's fine. Like it's okay to be like really, really wrong. And I think you are, in this case, I think you are.
No way, man.
I think that you're in that really, really wrong.
I like it because it's like a comeback story.
I don't even remember what happened in Major League 2. It's like Highlander 2 to me. I don't know what happened or why it happened.
It's Charlie Sheen's character. Oh my God, I forgot his name. I used to watch that on repeat. I will say that my favorite baseball movie at the time when I was growing up, before I discovered my dad's old VHS tape on Major League 2, was The Rookie. Do you remember that one?
Oh man, yeah, The Rookie was very good. And I'm also a big fan of Bull Durham and Field of Dreams, which is not really a baseball movie, but baseball themed.
Yeah. Or Mr. 3000 with Tom Selleck. Can't go wrong with that one too.
Wow. All right.
You want to talk about baseball movies? I'm ready to talk about baseball movies.
We're getting serious here, folks.
I was a huge baseball fan as a kid.
I regret it.
I'm also a League of Their Own. I'm a huge fan of A League of Their Own.
Oh my God, yeah.
Might be one of the better baseball movies of all time.
Okay, well, all right. Well, I mean,
no, I'm serious.
If you want to get serious about
Gina Davis, fucking Tom Hanks. Come on.
Yes, it is.
Madonna?
It is the greatest. It is the greatest baseball movie ever. Like, but we're talking like,
Well, no, I mean, it's no major league, but
yeah, but it's, well, first of all, it's well written. I mean, you know, Major League is like a dumpster fire that you like one of those like Russian car, you know, dash cam, you know, videos you see on
yeah,
YouTube that you like to
I think they
rewatch every
knew
so often.
they have Tom Berenger in it. They knew that was going to be that
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah, I mean, like A League of Their Own is right up there. I mean, so people would say like, oh, what about Sandlot, right? And I'm thinking like,
Get the fuck out of here. That's what I'm saying.
Nick DeLuca 96, you have your answer.
oh my
Oh yeah,
God.
baseball movies. Yeah, there you go. I can't see the chat. I'm sorry, Nick. I love Sandlot. Mostly because Dennis Leary's in it for no reason. But
No. I love Sandlot, but get the fuck out of here.
it's no. I mean, Sandlot's more like a coming of age movie, kind of like Stand
Yeah.
by Me. It's not a baseball
Yeah.
movie. Come on, it's about losing a baseball.
All right, I have another question from Evacuate. Sorry, we can talk more about baseball movies another year. So
Save us, Everquake.
spinning back to tie in, you have your preferred palette. Does that mean WotC requires working with their palette? And if so, is that common in a contract-based environment?
No, I mean, I guess it depends on what company you're working for. Like if you're working for, let's say like Blizzard and World of Warcraft, they're going to be really high saturation palettes that you're going to have to adjust for. But most of the time, almost all companies, their art directors understand that an artist has a particular way of painting, and they're not going to try and course correct their color choices. They're after them for their style or their look. I think you're rarely going to encounter a thing where it's like, we don't use those colors. That's rarely going to be I can't think of a company that's going to say, we don't use those colors here. It's all about the artist's hand and how they approach the colors that they use.
And I'm going to ask a follow-up question to that. Is color in the role of like, just as long as it's within the style guides, you know, parameters, like if this character has a red shirt, you can't use green on it. And if you don't have green in your palette, you need to get green.
So, okay. This is,
I mean, if you don't have red if it's a red shirt, like a Superman's red S, but if you don't have red in your palette, then,
I mean,
yeah, you know.
Right. So this is an awesome question. And I've run into this a bunch. I would say an art director will show their strength when they realize that some colors are not going to be reachable and they're not going to ask for them. And my meaning here is like, let's say I want a blue dragon, but they're in a cave that's only lit by firelight. That art director will know that they will never see blue because in those lighting conditions, you cannot achieve blue. So, but they'll understand that the artist is going to suggest blue by using something like gray in that scenario. Like that's how I would achieve blue in that scenario is gray. So let's say, you know, you're painting Superman and he's like, I don't know, he's also very blue. So he's in a scenario where I don't want to use blue again. So maybe he's in a giant
more like the red of
or he's in like a green light, right? He's in a green room.
Yeah. Or like
the red will be gray. Yeah. They did it in there's a great scene that I think is a perfect example of this in movies is in Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's the second one. Gamora and Star-Lord are talking in a particular scene, and Gamora's screen, her skin is green, and they're talking in this red light, and you can see Star-Lord's face is lit by red, but her face becomes gray, like this perfect middle gray, because there's no way to reach that green, and I doubt anybody on set was like, oh, we needed to look more green. How do we make her look more green? They understood the lighting scenario, and that you could never achieve that color. So that's why I'm saying, like, to lead back to the question, I think a really good art director will understand where the colors of their intellectual property can exist and where they can't exist.
Right.
And that's my speech.
There you go. That was a pretty decent question. I'm glad. I mean, all right, finally.
I rest my case.
We got to be, an average
I didn't even
answer out
paint
of Tyler.
in that entire rant. I don't think I painted once. You really got me going there. Good job.
And another thing.
Ray is catching up.
This thing occurs so much, at least in fantasy, where it's like, like magic, it's got Jace. And it's like, if Jace is in a room where that's not regular full spectrum light, he's not going to be 100% blue. It's just not going to happen. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. Just so mad.
What do you... Should have had more coffee. That's the problem.
I know that Tyler hates painting, but
I hate it.
What are your pet peeves? Like what? I don't know how much you get art directed, since you kind of self-direct. But
yeah.
Do you have any pet peeves that are like glowing black, like Tyler does?
I think it's when it comes to. Let's see. That's a good question. I've had some crazy type of like requests and things like that. I mean, I think what Kyle was talking about in terms of like, it's a blue shirt, but you want someone to be near a campfire. It's not going to look blue, and it's like, oh, well, so like I did a scenario where it's like, oh, I want red to be the color, and I found, and I think it was like the color of like one of the characters, and it was like, but I want it to be in a very, I want lots of blues, and so I was like, okay, blue violet. I could do red violet. I could do all these things. Like, oh, I want like a wash of blue, and I was given like a photograph for it, and so I did it up, and I was given a photograph as like color reference for it, and I did it up, and I noticed I took the red and I made him like we were talking about harmony, blue violet, red violet, and the art director was like, no, I said I wanted red, and I said that is red underneath those colors, and the person had said, no, I want it red, it needs to be red, and I said, well, it's going to look really odd because the type of red you're talking about wouldn't exist in that sense. It'll look off, and that it's like. It's a pet peeve of mine in the sense that like you don't have an art director that understands how what's going to look right versus in that case what's going to look odd versus just them getting what they want out. But if they're paying, they're you give them what they want, and you move on.
That's a good point. Like sometimes you got to break harmony to give them what they're after.
Just get it done, and then after you submit the job, before you post it on your website, change the artwork back to where it was.
Which I've done. I've done this before. It's like they want it. I call it. Okay, this is what I call it. Is it's when it's been over art directed or over corrected to the point where I call it the piece is now soulless, and you're just like, I'm just trying to get this job done at this point. Like it's not. It's outside of like whatever my particular vision might have been for where it was supposed to go.
Yeah.
And I just gotta finish it. I'm working with them, they're buying this. I'm going to give them what they want, but it's not really living in the space that I wanted to live in. So afterwards, I've kind of changed a piece back, or if I'm going to make a print of it, I've changed it back to where I wanted it to be or where I wanted it to end. Hopefully they didn't notice.
They do now.
Oh no, revealed my secret.
Oh man.
But don't be afraid to do that. I mean, it's your piece in the end. And if your contract with whatever group you're working with allows you to make prints and stuff, you can make the image what you would like it to be to a certain extent. But yeah, I mean, how about the baseball movies, Ray?
I know.
You see that?
I was just thinking
you see that
about.
Moneyball one? That was pretty good. It's
You
more
know,
about
I never
statistics
watched
than
Moneyball.
baseball.
I was thinking about Moneyball, and I was like, I've never watched it.
I
And
think
it's
you'd
not.
like
It's
it.
like I would like it. I guess. Why does it have like elements of Star Trek 5? Because then I'm gonna definitely like it.
It's a lot like Star Trek 5. You know, surprisingly, William Shatner didn't direct it or have much to do with it at all. Nothing to do with it, really. But I think you would like it. I mean, take a risk, man.
Not all movies are perfect. You know?
There's no Shatner element, but take a risk. I think you're gonna like it.
Oh man. You know what I was
It's a lot
watching?
about numbers.
I was watching, talking about Shatner. I was watching Undiscovered Country a couple of days ago, and
In Star Trek 5. Oh no, wait. I'm sorry, Star Trek 6.
Star Trek 6, yes,
The best one.
and
One of the best ones.
it's one of the best ones. Yeah, I would put it right, maybe the
Next to
second
2.
best. Yeah, 2's great. Wrath of Khan's awesome. I think it's better than Wrath of Khan, but that's just me.
Anyways, move on. Tell the rest of your fucking story. You're already shitting on Star Trek 6.
I think Star Trek 6 is better than Wrath of Khan. That's what I said. Are you disagreeing?
Okay. I mean, it gets close, I think. I have a hard time splitting the two. Like I think Star Trek 6 is way more nuanced and complex and interesting, like well constructed. Whereas Star Trek 2 is just the Enterprise incident from the original show, just kind of made into a movie, and they threw Khan in. It's awesome, but it's way more simplistic than 6. And ultimately they're the same movie, but they're both like sub battles. But 6 is really beautifully done.
It's really beautifully done. It's a great crescendo of the series. I mean, we're not gonna and full disclosure, it's a way to send off. It's a great send off of the series. Okay, and full disclosure, Tyler and I do not recognize Star Trek Generations as the last original series movie.
No, sir. It ended at Star Trek 6. That was it.
Right.
But right at the end, when Kirk's like, second, start of the right, straight on the morning. And that was it. Like that's the
okay.
end.
So talking about that, I was watching it, and I think one of my favorite parts, I just realized this where they're in like in the Federation, right? And they're in that secret meeting and stuff, right?
The Khitomer Accords.
Yeah, you find out that it's a secret meeting because they say at the end, it's like, and just remember, it's classified, right? And then there's this great scene
for the audience.
And this great scene with a Kirk and Spock, and like Kirk's pissed off at him because he like put him up for this shitty assignment, and Kirk's just like having his moment where he's like, it can't be trusted, it's like. Don't trust him,
Don't trust him. He's being really racist at the moment.
Let them die. Let them die.
Yeah, Spock's like, they might die. Let them die. I never trust the Klingons. I never will.
It's awesome. It's such a great
really weird
scene.
But it's a weird thing to do, right? With your heroic character, Captain Kirk, to paint him as a racist.
Because he's not in the original series. I mean, he had that. I mean, it's clear he isn't. But that's his blind hate for like this warlike culture to cloud his judgment.
Well, yeah, and it's a in a from a screenwriting point of view, it's a mechanism that they're using to create an arc for him where. They've had so many movies now. It's not like any of these characters can really go through arcs. So they got to reach back to, Klingons killing his son and create this sort of like, he has this new hatred, and how is he going to overcome that hatred in this particular film? Which is a really brilliant way to put his character together.
second only to the purple blood. Second only to that.
Which is so fucking crazy. They never use it again. They
I don't know
never,
why.
ever use it again. Right,
I think it was a
like
budget. You think it was a budget thing?
or I think it was a plot device. There was the only way for them to recognize the assassin at the very end of the movie. You know, when the guy who plays Odo on Deep Space Nine is the Klingon assassin with the fake mask on, and he falls, and they're like, "This is like Michael Dorn's in it." He's like, "This is not Klingon blood." And it's like that was the hook, right? And they were like, "How do
playing
we write
his
a whole
father,
movie?
right?
How do we write a whole
father.
movie around this?"
Yeah,
yeah, that's right. He's playing Worf's father. They're like, how do we write a whole entire movie around the line, "This is not Klingon blood"? And at the same exact time in the TNG episode where there are Klingons bleeding, the same exact year, they have regular blood. Regular blood.
Yeah, but think about it though. Like, you know, when our buddy Eric, who we great artist, he was told me about the Star Trek experience in was it, in Vegas or something
in Las
like
Vegas,
that. Like,
at the Hilton in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so like, you know, like he was like, we were talking about this. He's like, yeah, but Klingon blood wine is like it's a lot more palatable when you know it's Merlot versus like something that's purple. You know, like can you imagine something like that? It's like something out of like something out of a Nickelodeon contested show. You know, one of those.
It's just crappy. When I went to that experience, man, I might have told you this. It was like going to a theme park and everyone who worked there hated their life. So like you're in this fake Deep Space Nine and you're there and the waiter comes up and they're like, well, what do you want? And you're like, I'll take some blood wine and I'll take a steak. And then they just this pre-recorded line in their head. They're like, how would you like it replicated? And then you have to play along just a little bit. It was bad, and I'm a big Star Trek fan, so it was a major letdown. It was a major letdown.
Oh
and
no!
They had Romulan ale, which is like legendary in Star Trek, and it was the shittiest beer you can imagine. with blue
brewed it themselves.
Blue yeah, they made. I don't know. They probably bought some crappy beer, but it had enough blue food coloring to push the yellow into blue. That's a lot of blue food coloring.
That's a lot of blue food coloring. Wow.
So bad.
That's awesome.
I don't recommend it. And, you know, I'm sure Gene Roddenberry would be rolling in his grave if he heard about the Star Trek experience.
I'm kind of thinking you do, Tyler, because you've pretty much described
I talked it up.
Lists of awesome things. They can't be trusted. Let them die.
Bad. Let them die.
Let them die.
Hey, here's an art question, dorks.
Wait, what?
From Sabretooth 3817. You get 2 hours to talk to the artist of your choice, living or deceased. Who would you pick? Why? And what would you ask them?
Well, I know Tyler's answer. I know Tyler's answer.
What is it, Ray?
And he's doing it right now. That's what this show's all about.
Favorite living artist, Raymond Bonilla.
Yeah, that would be my question. What is it, Ray?
What is it, Ray? I don't. If I only had to choose one, oh man, I don't know who I would choose. I think
that's a wonderful answer.
Very inspiring.
I even got a yawn. There's no yawning in Livebrush.
Oh, great. You wouldn't know what to do. No, but come on, you got somebody.
Yeah, I think I would maybe talk to, I don't know if I would talk to John Singer Sargent. I would be afraid that he'd be pompous. Like, this is the things that I think about. Like, okay, who would, like, I would like to talk to for 2 hours that wouldn't be utterly bored with me, right? Because you can't just assume that they're going to be as interested in talking to you as you are talking to them. So there's a lot of things. That makes sense. You know, maybe William Shatner and talk about directing for 2 hours. I think that would help. Yeah, I think so.
I think you can get some insight into the craft of directing a motion picture.
He did it, right? How many motion pictures have you directed?
He did it. You're right. No, it's a good point. He did. Right? He made a movie.
He did it.
And I have made none.
I don't know. Artist wise, what do you think, man? I don't know. I have maybe Dean Cornwell.
Yeah, I like Dean.
Maybe.
I'm a big Dean fan. I honestly, I would probably step outside of like the illustration field in this.
Oh
I
well,
think
I mean, you can't do that. I mean,
I
thought
can. I
that's
can
what.
talk to any artist I want. That's the premise of the question. I can, and I will. I would probably talk to. So it would be a couple, and I've kind of
Okay.
semi had the
Yeah.
opportunity to talk to Phil Tippett already when I was working at a
What?
company in Bellevue. He came and did
You
a
talked?
talk.
You shitting me? Really? You talked to the Phil Tippett?
Yeah, the Phil Tippett. But
Wow.
I think and it, he was awesome. But I think I would really love to, and he's dead now. I would love to talk to Stan Winston and
Yeah.
like pick his brain about special effects and
Okay. Right.
there's like I mean there's a million artists and illustrators I'd love to chat with, but I don't know if I would want to
Right.
talk about like their craft. I would,
Right.
but I would love to dig into the craft that Stan Winston established with special effects.
Okay, so to piggyback on that, I'd probably then want to talk to Harryhausen or
Yeah,
one of the
for sure.
you know, like or like one of the great animators. But Harryhausen, can you imagine a Harryhausen and Stan Winston like roundtable thing where we were just like kicking back?
Or and Phil Tippett, put him in there because he
Phil
worked with
Tippett.
Harryhausen. Yeah.
We'll invite Phil. That's not a problem. And
I mean,
then
if he wants to come, if he wants to show up to this fake meeting.
All five of us, Star Trek experience, throwing back Romulan nails,
Okay, but okay. So I guess just to answer the question under its premise, if it had to be an artist, right? It had to be not a. I mean, I'm not saying that Stan Winston or Phil Tippett are not artists. If it had to be an illustrator or a fine artist, I would probably want to chat with J.C. Leindecker.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, I mean, or Drew Struzan, but Drew Struzan's alive, and I could probably chat with him if I wanted.
Yeah, I have chatted with Drew. It was he was cool. He was cool. Yeah, Drew and I chatted a lot.
I remember in school you called him like out of nowhere, and he like picked up in his studio.
I know.
Like, yeah, I'm working on he was working on Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull at the time.
Yep.
We couldn't warn him. We couldn't warn him because we didn't know. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Oh God. Yeah, I had no. God. Can you? You were sitting right next to me when I did it, right? Or were you in the other?
Well,
in your
I think
studio?
I was nearby. I think I remember you recapping it, and I was like, "You're fucking shitting me! You just called him out of the blue."
And he picked up. That was the kicker. He picked up,
Yeah, and he was working in his studio.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Oh God. I'd maybe either Harvey Dunn probably or NC Wyeth or Howard Pyle or one of those like I would maybe say Dean Cornwell. It would have to be Dean Cornwell, I think. But I would love.
Yeah, I'm with you. That'd be great.
Joaquin Sorolla or like I don't know, like one of the great. There's a list of them, like just anyone like from there. I love Leindecker,
Yeah, I feel like if we were to talk to, I don't know, Cornwell or like Mead Schaefer or some of those dudes, it would end up being like, oh yeah, it's all the same stuff because we kind of learned from those, like we learned from their styles of work. Right. It would be a lot of like, oh yeah, I know that. Like it would be a lot of agreeing with. I don't know if there'd be any like super secret knowledge that we would get from those kinds of dudes.
Well, I mean,
aside from where they hide their gold and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what would you what would you get from Leindecker? Would almost be really similar. I mean, we studied him quite a bit.
No, for sure. I agree. That's why I think my initial reaction was to be like, okay, I feel like there are artists outside of my profession that I would really love to chat with, and that's why I gravitated towards special effects guys.
Yeah. God, Stan Winston's so good. So good. That whole thing.
Like, you remember, I think I showed you this, like one of my favorite Stan Winston stories is in Terminator. it was like they had all the shots they needed, right? And they didn't. Him and James Cameron were like, we need one more shot. Like there's a moment when Sarah crushes the Terminator, and there's just sort of a gap between like the hydraulic press like crushing the skeleton body down, and they wanted that last moment of the machine's death, and they didn't have anything. And Cameron had this idea of, and it might have been Sam Winston too, they had this idea of, well, what if it's the last bit of life goes out? So what if the light in the eye turns out? And they didn't have a shot like that at all. And they were like, okay, so how are we going to do this? We need to make something. And it was like, they did it in a night, and they got a bunch of pieces of foam core together. They spray painted them silver, and it was a really close up shot. And they had a whole bunch of crumpled up burnt tin foil and the Terminator's eye. And they had a little, Stan Winston had like a little throttle that he could put on the light that was in the eye, the red light, and he would just dim it. And they were like, okay, but we need, like, the scene's kind of smoky and there's a bunch of smoke, but we don't have that. And Stan Winston was like a heavy smoker. And so he was like, okay, so right off camera lens, he put his cigarette down so that the smoke from the cigarette would blow across the scene.
My
and
God.
then like James Cameron's like pressing the foam core together, and Stan Winston's turning the little eye dial down, and that's the shot. That's the shot that they used
My
for
God.
that very final sequence of the Terminator going out.
No shit. Wow. Crazy. I gotta go rewatch that.
It's
God.
Just it's literally not even a second. It's like right after she's like, now you're terminated, fucker. And then it's like, and then it's just this little split second, and there's like a little bit of wisp of smoke going by. And that's it. That's the final shot on the Terminator's death.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. Oh my God.
That's one of my favorite Stan Winston stories. It's just like hacking that shit together in a night, like right before the final cuts of the film.
What was in I took a history of special effects course, and in school when I was an animation major at the academy, and they talked about the last one of the last shots in Alien was the shot where the special effects shot where the ship was landing at the base, or wherever they got I guess they got a distress call or something, right? Is that the first one?
Oh, in Alien, in Ridley Scott's Alien?
Yeah,
where they're landing on the planet?
Right, when they're landing on the planet, there's this like you see the outside of like the building, and it's this like this shot. It's like, oh wow, it's super cool. But apparently it was they had ran out of money and didn't have enough money for model making things, and they had one more shot to do. And so what they did is they went to the store and bought Transformers, okay, and then cut them up and spray painted them and arranged them in a way, just re-glued them together, and that's what that is. It's just a bunch of Transformers, which is nuts.
Perfect.
There's like crazy shit.
I mean, I love that kit bashing stuff that they did. They did it in original Star Wars as well. They just got a whole bunch of model kits,
right? And
they built the trench out of that. Just a bunch of stuff.
I would love to get into that. I gotta get into that.
Well, there's a great book. I can't remember the name of it, but it's I think it's just called Stan Winston, and it's this big thick book about the history of special effects. Stan Winston specifically, special effects, like their earliest work with like Pumpkinhead, and then getting into Aliens and Terminator and all their really early, and then eventually Predator. I don't know if you guys have heard of Predator. It's a really good movie.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, John McTiernan. This is just good stuff.
Possibly ghost written by Shane Black, according to Tyler.
Ghost written by Shane Black. God, what was the other thing I was super wrong about? Oh, I'm so sorry. You guys will find out, I guess, if you ever follow my advice.
You texted me saying like, dude, the day after, it was like, dude, I have to, half the stuff, more than half the stuff I said about Predator was lie.
Half the stuff? Well, I mean, that's exaggeration. It might have been half the stuff. It was definitely two major things that I brought up that I fact checked, and I was like, oh no, that's wrong. That's not correct.
Oh
Arnold
God.
Schwarzenegger wasn't even in that movie.
Okay. Oh God, that's awesome. It's like,
It's all right.
I said Billy
You know what?
Billy D was was one of the predators, one of the two predators. Who was piloting them? Billy D.
It was
Williams was
Dolph Lundgren
piloting
the whole time.
Yeah, it was Dolph Lundgren the whole
Billy
time.
D. Yes. Yeah,
Billy
Billy D.
D was
Williams was
piloting the
always
chopper.
behind the camera. Always. It was weird.
He was in the chapter. He was in the chapter.
Yeah. There's no reason for Billy D. Williams to be there, but he was there. He was there.
Oh God.
Well, for
He was
whatever
he was a
inaccuracies I
great
had, I'm
man,
sorry.
by the way.
Oh wait, no, he was Harvey Dent in Tim Burton's
Oh, Harvey
Batman.
Dent. I mean, he was a great
Oh,
Harvey
yeah.
Dent.
He was a great pre-Two-Face that they never paid off.
Oh God, can you imagine? Oh my God, that would have been sick.
Yeah. What was it? He was like, he gave us a signal. Oh man, Billy D. Williams, put him in anything, even in the last of the Star Wars films. It was worth it.
Yeah. At that point, you just didn't care. You know, I
don't even know. You know what? To be honest, Billy D. is an old fella now. I don't even know if he knew he was on a set of a film.
I mean, like, all respect to Mr. D. Williams, but yeah, you know, we'll leave it at that, I guess. I don't know.
We don't have to get into. You know what? Let's put a hard rule. We're not going to talk about Star Wars on this show.
Well, we're not. Okay. Oh, whoa. We did a Star Wars painting. We did an entire painting.
Oh shit.
Okay. Of Target. Okay. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we got to end a little earlier than usual this time because I was so late, and I'm sorry that I've cheated you out of. It's on me. It's not on Ray.
You're coming up with excuses as to why you lied during the entirety of the movie rant last stream.
I don't want to put all my cards out, but I really did this because I wanted to not finish this painting, and I delayed so that I knew I wouldn't be able to catch up and finish the painting. I handicapped myself.
This is crazy. This is a first. This is a Livebrush first, folks.
Tyler, I said I wanted 3 episodes on this, and we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it.
And I poo-pooed it. I was like, "There's no way you're gonna just have just patience for 3 episodes." And look at that.
And you were
what you did.
Look at
you just instead you just combed your hair for the first half of the show.
Yeah.
While eating cheesecake, and
no, I mean, I was preparing. I was mentally preparing to not be able to finish this. That's what I was doing.
Oh God, that's great.
But I do want to say, I want to. I know, Kate, you're going to stream after this, right? I want to point this out, everyone, that Kate's going to stream, and that you should go over there after this to get a little bit. I mean, I know I've cheated everybody out of good time here on Twitch.
They go over to Kate's stream anyway. Yeah.
So go over there.
I'm going
and
to
get some good
stream
stuff.
of blood is where we're going after this, not Kate Welch.
Are you gonna stream Squadrons?
No, I'm doing my last episode of the Call of Cthulhu game.
Okay, Kate, are you streaming Squadrons?
I haven't started, but I started playing it last night.
Oh, right. We started playing it a little bit. I played a little bit. Holy crap.
Oh my God.
It's dangerous.
Really?
It's really good. It's the spiritual successor to my favorite game of all time, which was TIE Fighter on PC in 1995. And it feels exactly the same, but with better graphics and multiplayer. I'm very, very happy with it. Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm going to get sucked into it. And I think I'm going to have to get like a cool joystick or something.
Same.
Super cool.
Wow, I've been watching it with anticipation.
I've moral flops.
I was playing a lot,
but they still
was it Galactic Assault? No, not Galactic Assault. Was it dogfighting in whatever the hell it's called, Battleground? No, Star Wars Battlegrounds. Yeah,
Battlegrounds, right? Yeah,
Battlegrounds 2. Oh my God, yeah. So I was playing a lot of that.
I love those Battlegrounds games.
But I wanted to play something that was a little bit more flight simmy, as flight simmy as Star Wars gets, you know. The
Oh,
fact
well,
that you could
This is
stop on a dime
it.
and then like you could float, you know, because like there's always
Oh,
a
yeah.
problem, like you were always in perpetual motion in Battlegrounds, you know.
this is it, boy.
You can
All
do
right,
that here.
we got to
All right.
run, fellas. You guys gonna do this
Okay.
again next
All right.
week?
Yes, we are.
Absolutely.
Thank you to Kate. Thank you to me. Thank you to all the great questions. And I think
I'll be early next time. I'm going to
Yeah,
be early.
why not? Why not? Next Saturday, we'll be here.
All righty, everyone. We'll see you next Saturday. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.